Okay, so today is our third George Crumb episode. We're looking at a piano piece called Processional from 1984. We also, way back in the orchestra series, looked at a piece called Echoes of Time and the River by Crumb, which quite literally featured processionals in it. Many members of the orchestra were positioned off stage and walking on stage and back off. So this is definitely a theme of his music, and certainly what had been for a long time before this piece. Okay, so it has a very interesting like marching quality to it, at least in appearance. Um, let's see if we can decipher the notation a little bit. I'll start with the performance notes, and then we'll get into the program note. So much of processional is notated in the traditional manner. For non-tonal sections, accidentals will apply only to notes they precede. So he's has a mix of key signatures and like non-key signature notation. Metronome indications may vary slightly. There's an appendix on page 13 with 6 ossia passages, which you can use to create an alternate version of it. Um, so this it's only in the ossia sections where you get his inside the piano techniques. So muted tones, pizzicato, as in plucking the strings, and string harmonics. Strings need to be clearly marked with bits of drafting tape. This is a little bit different from the last piano piece we looked at, Eine kleine Mitternacht music, which called for marking the strings with chalk. This is just calling for bits of tape, which I think is the more common way of marking up the inside of a piano, just because it's easier to clean. It's not, it's more like time consuming, obviously. So, like in that other piece, Crumb asked us to mark above every black key, basically. Like you have to mark up the whole inside the piano so that you can see the keyboard inside. I can understand why you wouldn't want to do that with tape because it would take forever. Um, and yeah, he has this fermata. So overall, pretty conservative use of it. Like there's almost no extended techniques in this. Okay, program note. Processional, like much of my music, is strongly tonal, but integrates chromatic, modal, and whole tone elements. The descending 6 tones stated at the beginning present the basic harmonic cell. A continuum of tiny melodic fragments. Experiment on harmonic chemistry, Debussy's description of his images for piano. So there's a connection here to a larger piano literature. You could program it alongside Debussy's images. While composing it, I felt no need for the resources of the extended piano, which is, of course, what Crumb was famous for. This is all of the use of amplification on the piano strings and playing inside the piano. So he's not trying to do that here. And he even mentions the alternate version here in the program note. The title of the work was suggested by the music's obsessive reiteration of a pulse. I think that's pretty obvious when you just look at the score itself. There's like this pulsation going on throughout. Um, yeah, not a bad program note. It's a little bit technical for the average person. The premiere was at Tanglewood, which, if you don't know, is a famous like new music workshop, one of the first big ones in Lenox, Massachusetts. Gilbert Kalish was the pianist who performed this in July of 1984. So it's kind of a cool, relatable performance opportunity. I've done a lot of composer workshops myself, as have a lot of other composers, and I think that's like sort of the main way that composers get commissions nowadays is just unpaid workshop type commissions. Let's have a look see here. It's a 13-minute piece, although some people do it in 10. I'll put a link to this recording in the video description. This is Chamber Music Society of Lincoln Center. Let me find some info on this pianist that premiered it, because that might be interesting, might not. So Gilbert Kalish is an American pianist who was born in the 30s and a huge champion of the music of Charles Ives and other modernist composers. Born in Brooklyn, leading professor and head of performance activities at Stony Brook. Was a faculty member at Tanglewood from 1968 to 1997, so this was a faculty performance. Served as chairman of faculty just a year after premiering this piece. He's also served on faculties at the Banff Center, Steens Institute at Ravinia, renowned for his master classes. So yeah, he's famous for having a lot of premieres of new works under his belt and interpreting this sort of thing. Okay, I think this is enough for now. I'm gonna have a listen to this and I'll let you know what I think in 10 minutes or so. Okay, yeah, this was really gorgeous. I think Crumb like stole the show here. Um, yeah, out of the piano series so far, this is going to be one of the more memorable pieces. I can already tell. So I'm happy I was able to introduce it to y'all. Um, yeah, very creative assemblage of ideas, and the main idea here, where I mean, the diatonic clusters are sort of a main feature of this, but also bringing out little notes within the cluster while playing triple pianissimo is it's very effective, but it's also very technically demanding. Like if you've ever played piano, having to have that independence of fingers and dynamic control is like really rigorous, and I thought this performer did a really good job. And you have to manage that while also managing all these other layers going on outside of the cluster. Um, yeah, really tasteful use of dynamics and pedaling, and just overall very effective piece that really draws the listener in. Um, and it's not what I normally associate with Crumb. Like there's no extended techniques, so it's very uh, interesting to see him present his own aesthetic and ideas about the piano in a normal, like, fashion, like just in a way that anyone would play the piano. So yeah, pretty cool. Let's see what is next on the docket before I move on here. I really don't know why I didn't know about this piece. This is my first time hearing it. I feel like it should be more well known. Like it's very accessible. It's not what George Crumb is known for, but man, is that a good example of his aesthetic. Um, okay, we're actually getting into some more Salvatore Sciarrino tomorrow with his second piano sonata. And this is another piece that I'm not super familiar with. I imagine it's very technically demanding if it's got a title like that. So yeah, that was written around the same time as this Processional by Crumb.